Hi everyone, Guyde here, and today we're going to talk about manscaping, part 2. Now, if you haven't seen part 1, I'll put a link for you up here. I don't know whichever side it's going to show up on. But in part 1, I basically talked about from my neck up. So that anything I do to talk about, take care of my hair and my face. Today in part 2, I'm going to talk about my chest hair, stomach hair, back hair, and upper pubic hair. And just sort of general body maintenance in that area. But before we get started, I just have a couple things to say. The first is an addendum to the last video. I definitely did not mean to imply that going bald is bad and everyone should take steps to avoid it. Sometimes you can avoid it, and a lot of guys look really attractive bald. As a matter of fact, a couple of videos ago when I talked about setting a gay trap for a straight guy, that gorgeous straight man that I told you about, he was bald. So I definitely have attractions to them. They're definitely going to be super hot. I didn't mean to imply that you definitely have to do it. For me personally, I actually tried to shave my head when I first realized that my hair was thinning, basically looking at that as an alternative. Maybe I don't do anything. Maybe I just go bald and that's cool. But it did not look good. I do not make an attractive bald man, and my family and friends confirmed that for me. So I decided to fight it. So if you're going bald and you like going bald, then do it. Do it up. Live your life. Everyone is different. And the second quick thing I want to mention is a quick family warning. So again, family, if you're watching these videos, thank you very much for your support. I love you. But you can stop now. You can turn this video off and maybe not watch this one, and especially not watch the next one. We're gonna get pretty personal, and yeah, probably stuff you don't need to know about. Yeah. But for the rest of you, I hope you like this next part in the series. We're gonna get very personal here and maybe push some YouTube boundaries. Please don't report me, but please do hit that like button and that subscribe button. So let's do more of these videos. They're super fun. So now that that's out of the way, let's join me already in the bathroom. All right. So as you can tell, I don't have a lot of chest hair or stomach hair. I consider myself lucky that I don't have it because that's a lot less to deal with. But chest hair and stomach hair comes in a wide variety of forms. Really thick, full body covered hair to this, this is very light, and I know some people who don't have any whatsoever, which is basically, it all comes down to personal choice. I think in general, at least some trimming is almost always necessary, regardless of how much hair you have, just to keep it nice and tidy and looking like you're taking care of yourself. But how much trimming you actually have to do really depends on how much hair you have. So I'm going to show you what I do for mine, which is very basic. I actually used to shave my chest with a razor, and if that's the route you want to go, my suggestions are very similar to the face shaving advice. Make sure you're doing it after your shower so that your hair is nice and soft. Make sure you're using lots of shaving cream to make sure it's lubricated and the razor is sliding nicely. And then if you have any loose skin or anywhere that you need to pull, just make sure you're pulling the skin tight, so that the skin is tight when you're moving the razor down on it. And watch out for the nipples. Just be very gentle. Don't go over them directly. Make sure you're going around them, and you can cut a tight circle around them. And then when you're done shaving, always moisturize with an aftershave. I'm going to show you the one I use. I'm going to actually do some shaving, so I'll show you the moisturizer I use when I'm done. So really the only trimming I do these days is I like to trim my happy trail a little bit. So the happy trail is basically the line of hair that goes from above your belly button all the way down and points down into your fun zone down below. Mine it's pretty not well defined. I do have some hair there, but then I also have a lot of hair on the sides that just sort of grows and sort of splotchy and patchy. And basically what I do is I try and, instead of shaving all this off to make it a very obvious happy trail, I just like to trim this down, just to cut it down a little bit so it doesn't look too obvious that I do that much work, but it definitely makes it look a little neater and a little cleaner. So I'm going to show you how I do that today. We're going to use the same buzzer that we used on my face. We're going to make the guard a little bit taller, so the hair is going to be a little bit longer than on my face. Just because they're so light, they can be a little bit longer and still look like they're not really there. And for this, we're going to use a motion where we go from the center and out, and then I do one more round of going in, and then do the other side. Center out, and then turn around and go in and come down. So I'll show you how they do that here. Very simple, probably can't even tell the difference. Just keep it very light. So, like I mentioned before, anytime you're shaving, you always want to use a good aftershave or moisturizer. For aftershave, I love Anthony's aftershave. Again, it's got aloe vera, vitamins A, C, and E. So it's really good for your skin. It does a great job moisturizing. It also absorbs really well. It doesn't sit on your skin. And this will prevent red bumps and hopefully prevent ingrown hairs, but there's nothing you can do that will completely prevent them. But this is a good good thing to use to try and avoid them. Since I'm not doing I use this whenever I use a blade to shave. But any other shaving or any daily maintenance, I've actually recently started using jojoba oil. So this is very easy, Desert Essence, 100% pure jojoba oil. And this is a great moisturizer. I use this after my shower in the morning and again before I go to bed. I put it basically all over my torso to moisturize and my down here too, but we'll talk about that in a bit. So it's very easy. Put some in your hand, rub it together, and then apply. All right. Now, last thing I want to talk about is back hair. So as you'll see, I don't have any back hair. Really, every once in a while I'll get like a little patch right up in here. I don't even, you can see where my hand is. But my stylist usually takes that off when he cuts my hair. So I consider myself lucky that I don't have back hair. The back is someplace that you probably want the least amount of hair on your body. Back hair is never attractive. It's always best to get rid of it. I don't have experience getting rid of it. I did look up some videos so I can offer you some advice. My best advice is to use, what I found that people recommend the most is using a blade like this with the buzzer off. Just put the blade right directly on your skin to trim it down. Don't recommend using a razor blade to trim it afterwards because that's just going to cause ingrown hairs. This is usually best done with a buddy. A little shaving buddy. I know I've had friends that I've buzzed their backs for them just because I'm around and they trust me to do it. So if you've got someone, maybe a friend with a hairy back and you want to do a trade, I recommend just trying to set up a trade where you shave each other's backs. It works out for the best. If you don't have a shaving buddy, I did see that there are some buzzers specifically for back hair that have, basically they're on rods. And you just sort of reach back and use the rod and you can do it yourself. So I'll put one of those in the description below for you to check out. Okay, I do want to talk about the pubic hair region. We are going to get to it, but I need to move the camera again. So hang on, you're going for another ride. All right, so I think it's pretty ironic that during this week of all this uproar about YouTube blocking LGBT content as mature, we're gonna get pretty mature in this video because we're gonna basically talk about cutting my pubes and we're gonna show you how it's done. So when we're talking about the pubic region, there's sort of three sub-regions where you can do different things with your hair. The first is the bush up top, then there are the balls themselves, and then basically there's everything else, which is from basically what they call your taint underneath here, all the way up through your butt crack. And all three basically have different techniques. I've encountered some pretty gross, bush, hairy people and they say, oh, I like it natural, I like guys who like it natural, blah, blah, blah. Great. If you're very rare and you find a guy that likes it all natural, then that's good for you, and you go with your all naturalness. But if you're out in the market and you're meeting new people and there's a chance that a new person is going to be putting their face near your crotch, then clean it up a bit. No one wants stray hairs winding up in their mouth when they're giving you pleasure down below. No one wants to be flossing with your pubes. That's gross. So at the very least, trim it up, keep it neat. Depending on how trim you do it, that's your own personal style and personal preference. But we'll talk through some of the different options first. So first, we're going to talk about the pubic area, or the bush area first. So here we go. All right. So usually I like taking just a regular comb and just sort of fluffing it out, because they're curly hairs, they can get all tangled and crunched up in there. It's a lot easier when they're fluffy to get them trimmed. There are a couple ways you can do it. You can use the same trimmer that I talked about earlier. I would definitely recommend using the curved guard for this one. This is not a place where you want that blade to be touching your skin anywhere down there. Crank it up to somewhere around 8, 9, 10 millimeters to start, just to trim it nice and short. That's sort of the safety way to do it. It takes a while, especially with that kind of guard. You have to go over it several times, comb it out, go over it again, just to give it all that even length. Once you're used to that sort of trimming, you can use the method that I'm going to use here, which is basically you take a comb, you pull it out to the length that you want it to be cut at, and then I take my little buzzer trimmer, this little guy. You can just take the guard off the other one if you don't want to buy a separate trimmer for this. So you can take the guard off the big one, but I like using this little one, and basically just cut the hair off that's on the top of the comb. And you've probably seen barbers do this giving you haircuts. Basically just go through, trim it off. This makes it a lot easier to control the length. You get a lot more of the hair because you're actually pulling it up with the comb to trim it off. But it's a lot harder to get it even. It's a lot easier to cut it a little shorter than you intend to doing it this method. So this gets better with practice as you go through it. But I'll take you through it right now. Alright, so there you have it. Nice and short. And I cannot believe that I just showed you that on YouTube. But hopefully it was helpful for someone out there. So this is as short as I like to keep it. Basically, people say that having short hair up here makes your junk look overall bigger. I've definitely found that to be true. I don't like going much shorter than this. I don't really like the look of anything shorter than this, but I definitely don't judge people for doing it. There is the option to remove this hair completely. If you want to do that, then just use that same technique I just showed you, but put the guard down on the trimmer a lot lower, or use the comb and put the comb directly against your skin. I strongly don't recommend using a razor or even just this blade down in the skin area down here. Simply, it's very sensitive. There's a lot more chance for ingrown hairs and other skin irritation, so I don't recommend that. All right, so that's all about the bush. I'm gonna pull that up. Okay, so the other hair. So there's ball hair, taint hair, and hair in your butt crack. For the longest time, I used to just ignore it. But about 2 years ago, I actually tried removing the hair. I tried a couple different methods, and you know, when they worked, I really like the feel of it. I like the look of it. I like the feel of it. I really like having basically no hair from my balls all the way up through my butt crack. If you've never tried it, I highly recommend you at least try it once. But again, it's a personal preference thing. It does take a lot of maintenance to keep care of. I'll talk about some different ways we can do that. So again, personal preference. You get to decide how much hair you want down there. So I've seen a lot of people recommend this sort of Nads cream, which is basically a cream that you wipe on, you leave it there for 4 minutes. You can use it on your balls, you can use it on your crack. I recommend not putting it directly on your butthole, but just keep it around there. You leave it on for about 4 minutes, you wipe it off, hair is gone. Everyone says this works great. I wish this worked for me, but my skin is basically too sensitive, and the chemicals in whatever they use really irritates my skin. Not only is it really irritated when it's done, but then I get these terrible ingrown hairs and red blotches everywhere, and it's ugly. So I've only tried that once, didn't work. Then I switched to shaving. So shaving it's an okay method. You just have to be very careful, and you have to do it more often. If you're going to try shaving, my big recommendations are make sure you're doing it in the shower with lots of shaving cream. I like this Neutrogena Men's Sensitive Skin Shaving Cream. Use lots of that on there. Always use the freshest blade possible. I use this Men's body care blade. It's a body blade instead of a face blade. It's got extra moisturizing strips on it. And then when you're shaving the hair down there, just always make sure that you're using one hand to pull the skin tight and the other hand to slowly move the blade over the skin. And do it very slowly, very deliberately, and just be very careful in this area. And that goes for your balls. You can reach under and do your taint, and then the same, you sort of look around and do the back this way. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do by yourself. This is another one that a shaving buddy may come in super handy. I know it's a lot more intimate doing these areas, but hopefully, maybe you've got a friend that you trust that you can do it with. But if not, you can do it by yourself. I did it by myself for many years. So that's shaving with a blade. Usually hair grows back, within a week or 2 weeks, and you have to shave it again. So I did that for a little while, but I didn't like that I had to do it so often and how quickly it grew back in. So a friend actually recommended that I try laser treatment. So laser treatment is basically this device that basically zaps the hair follicles and zaps them into not growing hair back for, it usually lasts about 4 or 5 weeks. And then the hair that grows back is thinner, it's softer, and it's less noticeable when it grows back. The problem with laser hair removal, A, is expensive, and B, it hurts like a mofo. They just basically do this bright, shining hot laser zap, zap, zap. It's basically how it goes all over your very most sensitive areas, and it kills. I bought a package of like 6 treatments to try it. And by the end of the 6th, I was swearing that I was never going to do that again. It was just terrible. So I don't recommend that as an option, but it is there if you do want to try it. So after laser, a friend recommended I try what they call sugaring. So sugaring is very similar to waxing, but instead of wax, they use this organic sugar compound. So it's not a wax, it's a sugar. It goes on easier. It's a lot gentler with your skin, and it doesn't have any chemicals that will mess with your skin, and it's a lot easier to clean up because you're not picking wax off, you're just sort of wiping it off. I started going to this place, Hush Manhattan in New York. They take good care of me. They're freaking awesome. I love them there. I've been going there for about 6 to 8 months now, and it's definitely my favorite method that I've ever tried so far. So if you've got an opportunity to try sugaring, I definitely recommend it. It's awesome. And if you've watched this video and you've gotten this far and you're disappointed by the fact that I showed you everything until here and I'm not going to show you the sugaring, well, guess what? I've got an appointment with my sugaring specialist and I'm gonna bring you guys with me. So stay tuned for that. Oh man, I cannot believe I'm going to post that on YouTube. But you know what? This is not about me. This is about you. And this is about helping you guys, and hopefully seeing that and seeing how it's done will help someone who doesn't know how it's done and doesn't have anyone to ask, which is the whole point of doing this in the first place. So I hope you enjoyed part 2 of my manscaping series. All of the products I talked about in part 1 and part 2 are going to be down in the description below. It's all very basic stuff you can get mostly from Amazon. If you like this, if you did think it was helpful, give me a thumbs up, give me a like down below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well so you stay up to date for when part 3 comes out. Part 3 is going to be a trip to that sugaring salon like I promised. It's going to take a bit more editing. I've got to do some creative cover-ups, and we're going to push the boundaries of what YouTube will allow me to show even further. So you don't want to miss that one. Hit that subscribe button down below. If you have any other questions for me, you can leave them for me in any of my comment sections below, or you can send me an email to thegayguide@gmail.com. And in the meantime, get out there and be who you needed growing up.